up on the First Take podcast, why is the Mayweather fight so personal for Manny Pacquiao and his trainer? Boxing great Sugar Ray Leonard will join us. Plus, are the Spurs the best team in the West right now? And after 10 championships, is the UConn head coach the best of all time? The First Take podcast starts right now. Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday. Kerry Champion, Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, all here today for you. Welcome back.
What's up?
How are you?
Hey, told you I'd be here.
I do appreciate you being here because we have a very special guest.
Oh my gosh, do we ever have a special guest? This man was all I knew in my childhood growing up. Sugar Ray Leonard is here. Last time he was here, he said in his prime, he would have knocked out Floyd.
That's true. True statement.
We talk about the big fight coming up. Your thoughts? Your thoughts on that?
We'll talk about it when he gets on the set.
All righty. All right. Plus, Derrick Rose is ready to return. What does that mean for the Bulls as we head into the postseason? Also something we discuss later on in the show. But first, speaking of the fight, Manny Pacquiao's trainer, Freddie Roach, has been extremely vocal leading up to this fight. He told USA Today Sports this fight is good against evil and that Manny is more motivated than ever before because he has a deep dislike for Floyd. Why? Roach says history of domestic violence. Floyd's history of domestic violence really upsets Manny. He went on to say he is also a staunch activist against TV because his father abused his mother. I said to Floyd one day, don't you think you should be a better role model? Like it or not, you are a role model because people look up to you. And kids in your neighborhood look up to you. And they want to be like you. But the way you act on TV, I wouldn't want my kid to be like you. Roach went on to say that Manny is more motivated than ever before. He has found his killer instinct. Skip Bayless, your reaction.
Stephen A. Smith, I'll be the first to admit that sometimes I believe that Freddie Roach and his publicist lay it on a little too thick when they take ridiculous shots at Floyd Mayweather Jr. in press releases that come across to me as frankly just cartoonish. And you can certainly argue that these comments are nothing more than more pre-fight hype. But I do not believe that. You know what I believe? I've told you from the start, this is deadly serious business on Pacquiao's part. He is on a religious crusade to beat Floyd Mayweather Jr. because he has never loved what Floyd has stood for out of the ring. So now, Freddie Roach is putting it on the record that Manny Pacquiao is driven to beat Floyd because of, as Kerry points out, domestic violence record. Mayweather has been involved in 7 instances of alleged physical violence against 5 women that resulted in arrest or citation. And in 2012, as we know, he spent 2 months in a Las Vegas jail for assaulting the mother of 3 of his children. Freddie Roach also says that Pacquiao is driven to beat Floyd Mayweather Jr. because hostilities run deep in Pacquiao because of the racist video rant that Floyd posted, when was it, 2010?
Yeah,
about 4 years ago.
Very disrespectful.
With some derogatory references toward Asians. And, of course, Pacquiao sued Mayweather and his father and his uncle for accusations of PED use that they leveled against Manny Pacquiao. Now, let me step back from this. And you and I have gone back and forth about this, and you have scoffed at me at times because of this. Big picture for Freddie Roach. He's saying that all of this is a big plus for Freddie as the trainer because this will speed the recovery. This will help bring back Manny's killer instinct that has been lacking. Why has it been lacking? It's because I told you 5 years ago, Manny Pacquiao went through a spiritual conversion. And because of that, Freddie Roach thinks that he's been going soft on his opponents, that he's a little reticent. He's backing off. He won't punish them. He doesn't try to knock out opponents or put them away the way Freddie Roach has wanted him to for 5 long years. So he's saying now that Manny is on some sort of spiritual mission to beat Floyd Mayweather Jr., that it is now good versus evil, that the killer instinct will come back in full force. I am here to agree with that. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are that I'm incredibly uncomfortable with this conversation. It's no fault of your own, you or anybody else. Here's why I'm uncomfortable with it. It comes across, and I think Freddie Roach engages in some level of extremities where you get to a point where if you're rooting for Floyd Mayweather to win this fight, you're ignoring all the things that have been associated with his background. Floyd Mayweather spent 2 months in jail. I interviewed Floyd Mayweather after that experience, okay? Obviously, it's something that he brought on himself. He never once goes into detail. He never refuses. He just always categorically denies that there's any truth to it. Now, do most of us believe it? Hell no, because of his 7 different incidences. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, and nobody's going to believe that, you know what, you're innocent of all the allegations that have been levied against you. But my point is this. We watch a sport that has enabled this man to generate almost more than $500 million. And when I saw some of the stuff he has, it would have surprised me if Floyd Mayweather Jr. is worth $1 billion, okay? I'm sitting there and I'm looking at all of the obnoxious behavior, the kind of stuff that Freddie Roach points to that says, oh, you ought to be a role model, are you really a role model, et cetera, et cetera. All of these things have facilitated Floyd Mayweather becoming one of, if not the richest athlete in history. One of the richest athletes, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods come to mind, but he's definitely top 5. And in a sport where there's really no governing body in terms of a representatives of Players Association or whatever, or Boxers Association, you don't have that kind of protection for boxers. So what Floyd Mayweather has been able to do is absolutely phenomenal in that regard. Unfortunately, negativity sells, being a pariah sells, having folks hate you sell, or whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of stuff that we can bring into the fray that says that the attention that he brings to himself, it is very much intentional, because you know what? That helps sales. People have made that argument. I'm not here to make that argument. I don't know whether it's factually correct or not. I have no clue. But when you go into what Freddie Roach believes and what he alludes to Manny Pacquiao feeling and how there's the spiritual conversion and all of this other stuff, what makes me uncomfortable is that they'll also lump in all of this other stuff that, you know, Floyd Mayweather allegedly has done to say, well, you know what, look at how much of a bad guy he is. When you take the position that you take, Kerry, against Floyd Mayweather, I had no problems with it. You're a woman. You should feel that way. Anybody else, based on what he's been accused of, I get that. I have no issue whatsoever.
Okay, but wait a second. But are you taking that position solely because of his domestic violence record?
I definitely have an issue because of his domestic violence record. But
I think you have.
But I also have an issue with how he treats women, period, outside of the ring.
Okay.
Not even just I have a problem with who he is as.
That's fine.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that her position is clear, because she's a woman and this is how she feels, how he conducts himself. I am a boxing fan. I'm thinking, when I talk about Mayweather versus Pacquiao, I'm thinking about 2 dudes strictly in the boxing ring, and that's all I'm doing. But Freddie Roach takes this to another level, where anybody that's rooting for Floyd Mayweather, it's almost like, what kind of a person are you? And when you feed into it by grasping what he says, it's almost like, what kind of a person are you? Well, I'm a guy that loves boxing. I love the fact that he's a brilliant tactician in the ring. I want to see him going up against Manny Pacquiao, because I've been waiting 6 years for it. That's all I'm thinking about. You ain't gonna sit up here and say, I can't condone what this man has been accused of. But in fairness to Floyd Mayweather, their camp will sit there and say to you, and Floyd has said this to me on more than one occasion, y'all act like Manny Pacquiao so innocent. I got news for you. The difference between my camp and me compared to Manny Pacquiao and his camp is that I don't sit there and talk about some of the stuff he's found himself in, but because I let that be. We'll handle it in the ring. I had Floyd Mayweather. Our stuff is going to be airing later on this month when I sat down with him. Floyd Mayweather said, I'm asking him questions about Manny Pacquiao. Well, I got to be careful, because back in the day, you said something about somebody, y'all handle it like men, whether it's in the ring or outside of the ring. He said, this dude, I might get sued. So I got to worry about that.
I feel like more people agree with you in terms of they want to see 2 people fighting. Most of the people who come in here and we have them make that pick, they don't care about his personal life.
But I'm talking about Pacquiao supporters. I'm saying that the Skip Baylesses of the world and others, when we bring this stuff up, we're transcending what's going on in the boxing ring. And that's where it makes me uncomfortable, because I'm like, wait a minute. If I counter what you're saying and I talk about Floyd Mayweather's going to give it to him, does that mean?
You're in an awkward position.
I'm in an awkward position. And I don't think that's right.
And you could argue that this is fighting an unfair pre-fight fight.
Of course.
Are you with me?
I think so.
Okay, but Here's my position on this. I do not believe for one second that Freddie Roach is trying in any way to further disparage Floyd's reputation. I don't think he cares about Floyd's reputation. He cares about Manny's motivation here. He's scared to death that Manny Pacquiao for 5 years has not put dudes away. When Freddie thought it was time to put the guy on the canvas, Manny would pull the punch and just box him the rest of the 12 rounds. So he's saying, I needed this. I need all this deep animosity. I need religious. I need racial. I need all. Are you kidding me?
Let me take that to another level. Then what does that say about Freddie Roach? Because if you're willing to go to this extent just to make sure your dude is ready for the biggest fight of his career, all right, are there no limits? I mean, last time I checked, let me tell you something right now. I can sit there and talk until the cows come home about how I think Floyd Mayweather is going to school Manny Pacquiao. But it is because I think Floyd Mayweather is the greatest today, not because I doubt Pacquiao's greatness. I know Pacquiao is great, and you see how he laughs at me all the time. We have a ball with one another. I love Manny Pacquiao, just not for this fight. And I'm saying, if you're willing, as Freddie Roach or Manny Pacquiao tacitly doing so, because he's allowing Freddie Roach to be out there and go out there and spew the stuff that he's spewing, I think it becomes incredibly uncomfortable and very, very unfair, because anybody who's rooting for Floyd Mayweather, they're like, well, what are you rooting for? I'm talking about the boxer. I'm talking about the fight.
All right, don't take it as anti-Floyd. Take it as pro-Manny. He's just trying to motivate his guy. He needs ultimate killer instinct. You don't think they have respect for Floyd's defensive abilities here?
I'm just saying, Skip, that when you sit there and you go in the press and you talk about Floyd the way that you talk about Floyd on such a personal level, when, again, there could be stuff in Manny's background you ain't bringing up. When, again, there could be more to the story about Floyd than has been revealed. You just get to a point where it's incredibly dicey when you're looking for the public to do it.
Freddie Roach also made this very personal, too, about his growing up with domestic violence.
Which I understand.
He grew up that his mother was a victim of domestic violence. So it was more so.
Two of my sisters were. I get it.
So he gets it.
This is the fight of the century, and as you well know, all is fair in love and boxing, right? I mean, they're going for the throat here, man.
And all I'm saying to you is that, look, this is a debate show. I love being able to go at you back and forth. But on this level, when you bring up the spiritual and you bring up that, I'm like, what am I supposed to say?
So you're saying it makes you because you have to separate the two. You're saying you're talking about what's happening in
you have to separate the two. Because
you do.
Listen, I believe I do. I believe most people would. Because think about it. When you sit there, it's only like Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield gets into the ring. He knocks out Mike Tyson in their first match. He says, God told me to throw the right hand. Well, then, are you wrong for sitting there and saying, well, did God tell you to take so many right hands from Riddick Bowe when you took him from Riddick Bowe? You see, it just makes it very uncomfortable.
And
because
Evander wasn't all that godly in his
right? You see what I'm saying? And see, I don't want to go there because I like him. I don't want to do that.
You also said when Manny said, God will deliver him to me.
And I'm like, really? Talk about that. And then you remember, what did I say when Manny said that? I said, oh, now what am I supposed to say to that? That's exactly what am I supposed to say? God will deliver him to my hands. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say to Manny Pacquiao? I can't.
He has no argument for this, Skip, is what he's saying.
What am I supposed to do?
Killer instinct is back.
All right,
that's bottom line for me.
That was the point of what
that's your definition of a killer instinct?
Yeah.
That's your definition of a killer instinct?
All right, guys.
Okay.
Let's leave it there.
All right. So when he loses, whose fault is going to be then?
He's not going to lose.
Just like last season, the Spurs are heating up at the right time, guys. San Antonio went 22-4 after the rodeo trip last season, which ended with an NBA title. Fast forward to this season, the Spurs are 16-3, Stephen A., since their annual road trip after a very convincing win over the Thunder, 113-88. Kawhi Leonard tying a career high of 26 points. So let's talk about what they've been doing. And I know that what you may say, so I'm going to start with this kid over here.
You don't know what I'm going to say.
I think you're going to say they're amazing.
Yeah, maybe.
Are the Spurs the best in the West, Stephen A.?
They're looking at it like it right now. Now, obviously, Tony Parker needs to be healthy. And let's face reality, all the injuries that they've sustained this year, with the Spurs, the caveat is always there. Are they going to be healthy come playoff time? Because that's really their objective. They want to be at full strength come playoff time because they're incredibly confident in their ability to get to work together. I'm watching Kawhi Kawhi Leonard elevate his game. More importantly, I'm watching the Spurs allow that and facilitate that happening, which to me is kind of surprising and just a testament to how classy and great of an organization the Spurs are. Because with Kawhi Leonard approaching a contract year, it might not behoove you or be in your best interest to let this guy shine, because it justifies the money that he's going to come to the table inevitably to ask for. But they're not concerned about that. This is how we're trying to win a championship, and if this is the guy that's going to have to carry us there, so be it. We're going to let it happen. So I think it's a testament to the first-class behavior of the Spurs organization. They deserve a lot of credit for it. The way that they're looking right now, first of all, they could easily be the kryptonite to Golden State because of their experience, how they know how to dictate pace, how they have an inside-outside attack with Tim Duncan and everybody else. They got all of those things. And when you combine that with the fact that you've got a guy like Kawhi Leonard, who's 6'8", huge hands, athletic, and more importantly can defend opposing guards, whether it be Chris Paul with the Clippers, whether it be a Steph Curry with the Golden State Warriors, whether it be, I doubt to some degree it's Russell Westbrook, because I don't know if anybody can stay with Russell Westbrook. But I look at Kawhi Leonard and I say to myself, the Warriors don't want any part of the Spurs. That would not be a good matchup. That's not who they would face in the first round anyway. I'm just looking at it from the standpoint that there's really no one that they can't beat. The way the Spurs are flowing right now, if this continues, they should legitimately be the favorites to come out of the West.
Are you ready to pick them to win the West?
Not ready yet.
Okay.
I got to see their health come playoff time, because the Spurs, it's week to week with them.
Yeah.
I got to wait.
To your point, my Spurs aren't just beating people, they are annihilating people on a nightly basis.
Shocking.
Now, they got to play back-to-back. Going back home, James Harden, then day off, James Harden at Houston. Let's see how that goes. They have a chance.
They'll split.
They have a chance. They have a chance to catch these guys, and wouldn't that be a story? Now, to your Kawhi Leonard point, he is emerging as not just a star, a superstar, and he is emerging, fittingly, quietly. Nobody seems to notice that they've gone 18-3, have my Spurs over the last 21, and in those games, Stephen A., my man Kawhi Leonard has averaged 20 and 7 rebounds and almost 3 steals a game, which is outrageous.
Right.
And he is shooting 43% from the three-point line, which is pretty outrageous. I never in my wildest dreams thought, to your point, that I would see the San Antonio Spurs start to feature one player, where they bring the ball up now and it's like, clear the side, we'll just lob it over to Kawhi, and we will let him go one-on-one, because if you're going to single cover him, you cannot stop him. Wow. The Spurs, known for their unity and ball movement, are now ISOing for Kawhi Leonard. That's pretty much all they got. You know why? Because Tony Parker ain't right.
Right.
I don't know what's happened. He had a hamstring, then he had a groin, now he's got an Achilles tendon. Stephen A. Smith, in his last 4 games, Tony Parker has scored 7 points, 4 points, 8 points, and last night, 2 points. Who's that guy? Who's that guy? Whatever happened to that guy? If he's got an Achilles problem, can I pick them to win the West with no Tony Parker? With Corey Joseph at point? I'm sorry, I'm not sure, and I love Corey Joseph. But Tiago Splitter, I keep telling you, is the glue for this team. He always takes the toughest defensive assignment. If it's Zach Randolph, they stick
Well, he's
Tiago.
an additional big body that takes away the load from Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him so pivotal.
And he can pass the basketball. He's gone with a mysterious, it's like a back issue that's manifesting itself down in his calf. They can't figure it out, and nor can I. And my guy, Patty Mills, who was the X factor last year, in the finals he was the X factor. He was a difference maker for them, is in a mysterious slump to me, and he can't break out of it. He goes 1 for 6 for 3 last night. And after the All-Star break, he's 27% from 3. Listen, it was huge. I can't tell you how many games Patty Mills won by himself last year, and he's not there for them.
Right.
So I just gave you 3 big X factors. So can I just say, yeah, they're going to win? I got to get these people right, either physically or mentally right.
I'm not worried about them mentally. I'm worried about them physically. Tony Parker, I'm worried about physically. Patty Mills, I'm worried about physically. He did play 20 minutes last night. He shot 1 of 6 from 3-point range. He'll get it together. I'm not worried about him mentally.
Boy, this has been going on for a long time.
Yeah, I'm not worried about him mentally. I'm just not.
Yeah. Well, and again, Can they beat Golden State? Sure they can. Can they beat Houston? Sure they can. They can beat all these teams if they are right. And I'm starting to think with Tim Duncan, he's still the best rim protector in basketball. And you just said nobody can shut down Russell Westbrook or get in front of Russell. Guess who shut him down last night? Tim Duncan. Russell Westbrook could not get to the rim because the long arm of the law was there time after time after time. So they got that going for them.
Here's the only problem for San Antonio. And even though this is, San Antonio's been favored in the past. If the playoffs were to begin today, they'd play Memphis. Now, the thing about Memphis is that even though San Antonio's their kryptonite and they've had their way with them, Memphis is tough. They're physical. More importantly than anything else, they're very, very comfortable playing with one another because they're very familiar with one another, which would make them more formidable. And that's the only difference. I like it. Yeah, I'm not saying that I would pick the Spurs to win that series, but you need to be ready to play that series physically to go up against Memphis. You can't be shortchanged physically and beat Memphis. It's not going to happen.
I don't think they could beat Memphis without Thiago splitting. People laugh, but I don't think
that's absolutely right, because that's how you could put Tim Duncan on Zach Randolph, because you got somebody on Gasol. You got to have somebody, or the other way around. You've got to have somebody to do that.
What about Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili playing their 730th regular season together as teammates? Are you?
People say I get a little sappy about my Spurs, but listen, last night I'm sitting back watching TNT, watching my Spurs, and I'm thinking, I am watching history here. I'm watching greatness, because Ginobili's still playing at a high level, as is Duncan. And to watch those three on the floor together, you have to step back and say, I appreciate this.
Well, I appreciate him, but more importantly, I appreciate Popovich. And the reason why I appreciate Popovich is because, Skip, he saves them. He saves them. Literally, when last year, nobody averaged more than 30 minutes a game. This guy figures out ways to preserve them so they're ready when it counts most. I don't care how great they are. If they were run into the ground, whether they're playing 35, 40 minutes a night,
they've been blessed.
I'm telling you, it would have been a problem. Popovich, brilliance in that regard, saves the day. They owe him a lot because he has preserved their careers.
Byron Scott says he doesn't trust many of his Laker players on Monday. Scott said after a very tough season, he's learned that many of his players would turn on him if given a chance.
I got a sense of a whole lot of them I wouldn't want to be in the foxhole with. I think they end up shooting me in the back. So I got a pretty good sense of the guys that I think are going to be around, that we can build around, build together, this process and go through it, and I think we'll be fine.
Lakers 20-57 have the worst record of any team in franchise history. Important to note, Scott said that when he made those comments, they were out of frustration after a very disappointing season. Stephen A., your take. What's going on here?
What's going on here is that your Lakers stink. They're awful.
I know.
We understand that. And as a result, when you're surrounded with individuals who stink as players, who stink in terms of their work ethic and commitment, who put Kobe Bryant in a position where he shows up on the Jimmy Kimmel show to laugh, and then they're showing a video after they've been losing 16 or 17 games or whatever it was, and they're sitting there celebrating like they won a championship, just an absolute flat-out embarrassment. These are the kind of things that disgust somebody, a champion like Byron Scott, to no end. He knows what it's like to win championships. He knows what kind of pride and intestinal fortitude you must possess in order to be a winner. And there are very few guys here that are they're just not. And so it really, really is very, very sad. What I also believe is sad, however, Skip, is this. This is the last stop for Byron Scott, in my opinion. Covering the NBA, knowing the league the way that I do. Byron Scott is a guy that went to 2 consecutive NBA finals with the New Jersey Nets, having Jason Kidd, Kenyon Martin, Richard Jefferson, and those boys. 2002, 2003. Obviously, he had some success in New Jersey. He had some success in New Orleans, guiding them to the playoffs. But then somehow, some way, he takes the Cleveland job after LeBron James leaves. What's the season? 19-63. 21-45 in the lockout shortened season, 24-58. And then this year, after a year out of the game, he's 20-57. Overall, that's diminished his winning percentage to 43%. And over the last 4 seasons, he's won 28% of his games to 3 years in Cleveland, and he's winning 18% of his games in L.A. There's but so many bad jobs you can take. You need talent to win. And unfortunately for Byron Scott, he signed on to a talentless squad. I'm not trying to diss the Lakers players as individuals. I am saying collectively they're god-awful. And because they are doing nothing to make him look good.
Right.
And if you know anything about Byron Scott, he's hardcore, he's very prideful, he's very competitive, he doesn't wilt beneath the pressure against anybody. This is a guy that, as a player, replaced the great Norm Nixon with Magic Johnson and Worthy and Kareem and those boys. This is Byron Scott we're talking about here. He knows what it's like to be a winner, and he knows when he has none.
Yep.
Especially with Kobe not being there. And that's the situation right now. But I think that if this continues and he continues associating himself with this kind of stuff, next year may very well be the last head coaching year of Byron Scott's career if Mitch Kupchak doesn't do something. Don't get me started with Jim Buss. He ain't the answer.
Yep.
Mitch Kupchak has to do it in conjunction with Jeannie Buss. Maybe you can go and bring somebody like Jerry West back. So I don't know, but you can't let Jim Buss do what he's been doing. This could be the end for Byron Scott if this continues, because if you don't have the talent, you just don't have it.
Before I answer the question, quick point of order. Michelle Beadle raised this question on the 6 o'clock Sports Center last night. Do our younger viewers know the term foxhole? Do they know what this quote meant? Does everybody know foxhole?
I think we do.
I think a lot of kids probably don't, that it's a war reference. You dig a hole from which to defend your position, hold your ground.
Sure.
And he's saying, again, maybe half in jest, that in my foxhole, I'd be afraid these guys playing for me would shoot me in the back.
Exactly.
Okay, just for the record, so we get the reference.
Sure.
I didn't love it, even if he was half kidding. I didn't love the tone of his quotes, because this is obviously a very sorry situation that just needs to end. And I'm not sure what good those quotes did, even to try to clarify the quotes, because clearly he's been, quote unquote, at war with various Jordan Hills and Nick Youngs and Carlos Boozers. It just hasn't clicked. Their personalities, their effort, I don't know what it is, but there's some D&Ps going on. Nick Young's hurt, but, you know, he's doghoused some of these guys. So it's not clicking, not that it matters whether it's clicking right now, but he was so disparaging of their effort. He's saying these guys, I don't even want them around. You know, I don't want them on my team. That it almost starts to come across a little bit to me as blame deflecting. Like, don't look at me. I got nothing to do with this. It's all their fault. Well, it's to your point, because you're probably right. This is probably his last stop. But Byron Scott is a good basketball coach. I don't think either of us have ever doubted that, because I've said this on the show many times.
I don't doubt that he's a good coach. I don't doubt that he knows what he's doing. But in the interest of fairness, one of the reasons he was going from New Jersey is because his effort as a coach was questioned.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jason Kidd got a very, very bad rap for that. I would remind everybody that the president of basketball operations was Rod Thorne, and his number 2 guy was Ed Stefanski. Now, I've known both of those guys for over 20 years. Okay, I've known Jason Kidd for many years, who, by the way, is doing an outstanding job in Milwaukee. And I mean, this guy is he's made them respectable. I would remind you that those guys questioned that about Byron Scott as well. Those players know that.
That's a good point.
You can't ignore that. And I'm not saying that that's the case now, because I'm a fan of Byron Scott. But in the interest of fairness, I feel obligated to point that out. And what I'm saying to you is this. In L.A., let me tell you something. I'm an East Coast guy. I used to sit there and be like this, man, please, I'm New York doing hell with L.A. Man, I go out to L.A., man, please, if it wasn't for those taxes, boy, I'd have moved out there. I'm trying to tell you right now, I'd have been commuting skip, man. Stephen A. loves some L.A., baby. Love L.A. Love L.A. I mean, L.A. is special.
Show's moving.
Let me tell you, you know what?
Show's moving.
High taxes and all, I wouldn't complain. I'm saying L.A. is that serious. It's special. It's special. Now, I'm saying that to you to bring up this point that people don't understand. When you're in cold weather cities or cities that there isn't much to do, then that's fine. But when you are in places like L.A., there are distractions, and you've got to be locked in. See, the greatness of a guy like Kobe, forget just the championships and just the material skills that he has. It's his commitment, surrounded amidst all the distractions.
Sure.
He's never distracted from basketball because he's that locked in. It takes somebody special. It takes a Byron Scott. It takes a Magic Johnson. It takes a Kobe Bryant. It takes guys that are so locked into winning to be a part of LA. That's one of the problems with the Clippers. And they're winning basketball games. Please don't get me wrong. But when you're in LA, I use this phraseology all the time. The sun will shine tomorrow. No matter what's going on, it ain't that bad when you wake up and it's the sun shining and the palm trees. Skip, I'm trying to tell you right now, I could be in the worst mood. Let me roll down Rodeo and Beverly Hills or the palm trees, and I'm going like this. You know, life's going to be all right. You know, it's going to be okay.
He's speaking the truth.
It's going to be okay.
Somebody on this panel grew up there, and somebody worked there for 4 years.
That's right.
Okay.
That's so you know. And, and I just visit, and I'm trying to tell you right now, I don't care what kind of mood I'm in. I can roll down in somewhere Santa Monica Boulevard, and it's going like this. It's going to be all right. Everything's going to be okay. People, like, when you have that, of course you're going to have a Byron Scott pointing out how guys don't really have it. You know why, Skip? Because when practice is over, what they doing? Marina Del Rey, Santa Monica, Calabasas, I mean Malibu, please, they're chilling. That's the problem. That's the problem. You got to bring us a special dude to be in LA.
Do not forget, Byron Scott grew up in LA, in Inglewood.
That's right.
Did go away to Arizona State, but he's LA through and through, and he was Showtime. Now he was part of Magic's Lakers, so now he's to the point where he's so disgusted by having to associate with this that he's trying to distance himself. Like, I don't even want these guys in my foxhole.
But let's be fair. He's trying to distance himself because of what he perceives to be a lack of effort. Coaches like Byron Scott, if you work your tail off, they'll feel bad for you if you just don't have the skill. It's like you just can't play. I feel bad, but but you just don't have it. What Byron Scott has a problem with is the comfort that they seem to have with being significantly less than mediocre. And I'm here to tell you why. More so than in most NBA cities. In LA, you have to keep the wheel turning. You gotta exchange bodies because it's real. Look, man, I get comfortable in LA and I'm hardly there. I'm trying to tell you, I go to LA, I don't be wanting to leave. I'm like, my boy Jeff teases me all the time. Your boy, you know Jeff Brown. He'll sit there, just skip and go like this. I just want to let you know that I turned on my fireplace. It was a little brisk here. It was 68 degrees, you know, when the sun was going down. Other than that, he's chilling. And he rubs it in all the time. Because it's L.A. It takes a special dude to be in L.A. and not be distracted by the distraction.
It takes a special dude to do that. Can you do that?
It takes a special dude to do that.
I don't know.
It takes a special dude. And listen, remember my commitment. I said it on the air. 5 years from now, Skip, is over. Two things are going to be out of my life. Bad weather and high taxes. Well, I might have to modify that a little bit if they sit there and say to me, Stephen A., we need you to go to L.A. Well, it's high taxes, but I can't stand the taxes, but I love everything else, but I hate the high taxes, but I love everything else.
So you said you're ready for a 7 a.m. show. You could do a 4:30 a.m. call.
No, yes, I could.
All right.
Yes, I could. I don't know
call.
if I could pay the 12% state tax, but I definitely could wake up to do the 7 a.m. show.
Yeah. Okay.
There is no doubt.
End result, we're moving the show.
Okay.
No, we ain't doing
it. Takes a special dude to live in Bristol, Connecticut,
Let me
right?
tell you something.
When the sun doesn't shine.
It takes a different kind of dude to live in Bristol, Connecticut, no doubt.
not
And
talk
you are
about it.
special. You are special.
I'm excited to be back. Be back playing at this level. I feel like my game is finally ready to compete at this level, at the highest level, and I'm excited to be here. There's no other tournament in the world like this, and to come back to a place that I've had so many great memories at and so many great times in my life.
Tiger, this wasn't the Masters week. Would you be playing? And when was the aha moment?
I had to have all facets of my game come around, and they all have. I want to win. You know, my game is finally ready to go ahead and do that again. Finally got to a point where I feel I can do it now.
Tiger says he's finally got to a point where he can do it now. We welcome in our golf insider, Michael Collins, who is at Augusta. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. Here's the question. You heard what Tiger had to say, and he's been selling that same theme all week long. What do you make of it? Is he really back performing at a high level?
No one knows. I mean, in his press conference, he also said he worked his booty off, which I hope isn't the case, because if he did, how's he going to get his glutes to activate? Look, the last time that we saw Tiger on a Tuesday, I know that was very funny, even if I say so myself.
It was a good one. You're hot.
Because it's true, right? So, and on Tuesday in Phoenix, when he played that practice round, it was spectacular. And everyone thought to themselves, here we go, Tiger's in again. And then he goes out on Thursday and throws up on his shoes and then goes to Torrey Pines, doesn't even complete the tournament there, doesn't even make it the whole way through Friday. So now we get to hear. We see Tiger out practicing. He's got headphones in, doing his head nod thing while he's chipping. And he's chipping fantastic. Didn't miss one chip. He was listening to hip-hop. I asked him straight up, what you listening to? Hip-hop, of course. So he looks fantastic. Played a great practice 11 holes on Tuesday and was excited. But as we all know, when you play on Tuesday and Wednesday, it's practice. What are we talking about? We ain't talking about the game. And what we see Tiger do in the game so far, nothing good.
That's exactly where I was going. Practice, man. We're talking about practice. How serious are we supposed to take that, considering what we've seen from Tiger in recent memory? Is it really a big deal that he's supposedly looking so good in practice?
I don't know, Stephen A. Tell me the truth. Every time we see him do this, we all drink the Kool-Aid. And I'm not going to lie, I'm doing a little sipping on it too right now.
I'm not.
When you see Tiger look this good and relaxed during practice and doing things that we haven't seen him do ever, hugging his kids, having a good time, talking to guys, the intimidation factor is gone. This is the approachable factor. So now everyone's wondering, what is this dude going to be at 100%? And we just got to hope he's at 100%, and let's see what happens.
You good?
I'm good. Go ahead.
Michael Collins, you know I love you, man. I respect your golf knowledge and your insight. We talk a lot about Tiger Woods. So I need your help today because I am struggling, as is my partner Stephen A. here. I'm looking at the big picture facts and I'm saying Tiger Woods has not won a Masters in 10 years. He has not won a major championship in almost 7 years. And since the scandal and the treatment that he went to, Tiger Woods, seriously, has not even come close to actually winning a single major championship. When we last saw him at Phoenix in his last full round of the year on that Friday, he shot a career-worst 82, and he went home to fix his mind, body, and game. Didn't play a single tournament, and shows up at Augusta and says, I'm ready because I worked my you-know-what off. Michael, how rationally can I think that he can even make the cut at Augusta National?
Skip, I love you too, and I'm feeling the same. Look at this. Look how disheveled I am. It's 90 degrees out here, and I'm sweating just thinking about which Tiger Woods is going to show up. And to be honest, none of us know. And how many times have we heard Tiger in the past when he makes a comeback, it's going to be good, especially this last time. You know, I haven't got a chance to do a lot of work, but I've been working on my short game. And what was the worst part of his game? Short game. So now we see him in practice. He didn't miss a chip. He played a fantastic 11 holes, and he's out today practicing again too. And you think to yourself, okay, maybe, just maybe. It's almost like he gives us a little bit of hope.
Yep.
And people who love Tiger are thinking, this is it. He's going to be back. We're going to see the right guy. And the people that hate Tiger are thinking the same thing. Yeah, get all that false hope up again.
Michael, does he sound like Tiger pre-personal problems or Tiger post-personal problems that seems a bit approachable, that seems to find moral victories in everything? Not the Tiger Woods that says second place, you know what, not winning at this first place and there's nothing else. Which Tiger Woods are you at least hearing leading up to this tournament?
The intimidation Tiger is gone. And that's because that dude from 2000, he's dead. We ain't never going to see that guy again.
I agree.
This Tiger Woods that we're hearing from right now, this is the dad. This is the guy who's done it all, been there, seen that, and now
he doesn't have a chance. That's my problem.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a chance, Michael. Why are you even wasting your time? Why don't you just go back, take off your tie, relax, lounge, chill out? He's done, Michael, if that's what the case is.
No. Here's the thing, and you have to have a little bit of belief in this. Because you have to remember, Stephen A., have you ever seen this Tiger Woods at 100% healthy?
No.
So you don't know. Okay, then.
I don't think he's 100% now.
No one has. But this is what I'm saying. I just want to see this Tiger Woods at 100%. Let me see what this dude's A game is. Now, we already know Tiger Woods, this dude, his B game, not good enough.
Stop it.
Ain't going to win.
Stop it, Michael.
His B game, like he said, his B game stinks.
Michael, stop it. Hold on for a second. Are you telling me you think Tiger's 100% healthy?
I'm saying right now.
Everything? Come on now.
No, I didn't say he's back. Don't put me in that Kool-Aid juice drink right there. I didn't drink all of that much. I didn't have a full liter. I just had a sip. All I'm saying is, when has Tiger Woods ever said the wrong thing at a press conference? He said the right thing, which he's supposed to do. And from what we see out on the golf course right now, there's no hesitation in his step. We don't see him moving gingerly at all. So we have to believe, going by what he said, that he's 100%. And from what I've seen, you know, he did do the work that he's supposed to do at home. Now, you know, he's still got some booty left from what I saw.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he didn't work it completely off. But I'm just saying, from what we hear from Tiger and what we're seeing on the golf course right now, we should at least believe, going into Thursday, that he's going to be 100%. What that means, we don't know. Because as soon as he hits that one bad chip, now we're going to find out what kind of gumption you got.
You know, Michael, to me, watching Tiger Woods so many years in press conferences, especially on a Tuesday or Wednesday ahead of a tournament, I think he plays the media game we want him to play. He knows what we want him to say because we need him to say it. And you had a great line when we spoke the other day, and I don't want to steal your thunder here, but we were talking about moving the needle, and you told me Tiger doesn't just move the golf needle, he is the needle.
He is the needle.
And I agree.
He's
That's a great line. Congratulations. He's everything.
He's the needle, the dial, he's everything.
I want him. So I'm quicker. You know, I want to watch him this weekend on Saturday and Sunday, not just on Thursday and Friday. So I'm quicker to leap to a conclusion, probably a false conclusion, that he's kind of back. He's kind of healthy. He's kind of right. Because we need him, because the Masters is not nearly as good without Tiger Woods.
But is the Tiger Woods that's kind of back? Can he win the Masters? Can he win the major? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. But here's the thing, especially about this week. A Tiger Woods that's kind of back, he's got a much better shot of making the weekend because there's only 98 guys here.
Yeah.
And you only got to make the top 50 in ties to get into the weekend, which means realistically, he's only got to beat maybe 25, 28 guys to be able to make the weekend, realistically. So is this kind of back Tiger good enough to play the weekend? I should hope so, or else everything else that he said during that press conference was not true, and he was, again, just dumping that Kool-Aid. We was all,
you took a sip, though, Michael.
We just need you, man.
Nobody's asked us one quick question, Michael, one quick one. Nobody's really answered, how are the other guys feeling about Tiger? What are they saying about him? They're the ones that have to compete with him. They're the ones that have been stomping him out over the last few years. What are they saying?
The same thing that we say. They want Tiger back at 100%. It's not like he's not like that on the PGA Tour. The guys out there love to have him around, and they realize how much better golf is when he's playing well. And the thing is, Steve, it's the same thing in every other sport. I don't want to beat you when you're hurt. I can't go brag to my mom, yeah, I took that dude out. Yeah, but he was crippled when you did it. Oh, yeah, but still, I beat him, though. You want to beat somebody when they're at 100%. And it's the same with these guys out here. They want Tiger at his best.
Yep. So, Michael, react to my takeaway from yesterday. The Tiger I saw is a guy who has made some blissful new peace at age 39 with being just another golfer out there, with his life priority now those two kids, a 7-year-old and a 6-year-old, and he will play the par 3 contest for the first time today since '04 because his kids can caddy for him.
And that's a beautiful thing. That's the one thing where I think having children has put things in a different perspective from him, because those kids, I'm sure, went to him and went, Daddy, we don't care how you play in the Masters. We just want to share an experience with you. And I think sometimes when a guy who's been to a place that Tiger has been has children that give that different perspective to him, then during tough times on the golf course, he's going to be able to think about that and go, you know what? I can make it through this. It's going to be all right.
Yep.
It's just that we want to see a guy that we used to see.
Right.
And that's the thing that everyone's struggling with is this new Tiger Woods. We're not used to seeing him, and a lot of people don't like it. I'm saying give this dude a chance, and let's see what he's got.
All right. Westgate says Tiger's odds to win the Masters, Michael Collins, are 40-1. Rory McIlroy at 6-1. We thank you so much for joining us. You need to fix that tie and try to get some shade or something, okay?
Everyone tell me something different. Hey, take the tie off, pull it even more. Look, the way I'm feeling, if I don't get any egg salad sandwich on any of this outfit, I'm pretty happy right now. I'm glad y'all don't even see my shorts. I look like Quiet Riot.
Well, he's won 5 world titles in different divisions. He's won several world titles in different divisions, defeating the likes of Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Royal in Montreal, Revenge in New Orleans. You guys remember that? No Mas. We talked about that earlier. The Showdown, the Super Fight. You remember. I can go on and on and on. We welcome in boxing legend Sugar Ray Leonard.
And the greatest ever.
Literally. I told this at the beginning of the show, all I remember is my mother would have boxing fights, and it was just you. And she was in love with you, and so I had to love you vicariously as well. You were a huge, huge, huge part of my childhood. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, so you pick Mayweather. Explain. Make your case.
Mayweather, first of all, besides being an incredible talent, he's a technician. He really embodies the sweet science of boxing, but he's never tasted defeat. He does, psychologically, he has the edge. And it takes a psychological stability to go into that ring at this level. When Pacquiao was beaten or knocked out on Marquez, that's like an Achilles heel. You never forget that. A fighter never forget that. That's always there. That being said, on top of that, all fighters have one fight left, one big fight left in them. My fight with Hagler was that last fight I had of myself. With Ali and whether it was George Foreman or Joe Frazier, one of those fights was his last fight. We all had that fight. And this fight here is not just about the money. It's about bragging rights. It's all about legacy, history. And anything can happen when this thing comes about.
Go ahead, Skip.
I'm curious to keep this in perspective. In what ways does Floyd remind you of you?
And he's a thinker. He choreographs his fights. He plans his fights, and he's defensive and offensive. He's both. They say, how do you beat Mayweather? There is no one way to beat a Mayweather. To beat Mayweather, you have to do boxing, punching, slugging, fighting, all those things to make him vulnerable.
You know, Skip, Bayless, Sugar Ray, love having you on the show, by the way. It's great to see you. Skip Bayless is of the mindset that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is devoid of power. Doesn't have any punching power. Skip literally calls him a pillow puncher. I would appreciate it if you would educate this man. Feel free.
First of all, Skip, explain to me that Mayweather doesn't have power.
Mayweather has brittle hands. He's constantly had trouble with his hands, just as his father had trouble with his hands and his uncle had trouble with his hands. He cannot keep them healthy. So he has slowly but surely lost whatever knockout power he had. And certainly, as now at age 38, as we look back over the last 6 or 7 years, he has been devoid of a knockout punch. And now he's up against a man who has been driven for 5 years to fight only one man in the world, and that is this man. And Manny Pacquiao has equal hand speed to Floyd. I think he's an underestimated ring general strategically. I don't think Pacquiao gets nearly enough credit for also having a plan of how to choreograph a fight. And bottom line, Manny Pacquiao was born with punching power. You can throw all your PED references you want. Now they're going to be tested. So now it's just down to raw, what God gave you, punching power. And Manny has it, and I don't believe Floyd has it anymore.
You are definitely correct with you're born with power or you're born with speed. And Manny Pacquiao has both of those. As far as Mayweather not having power, Mayweather has power. Does he have brittle hands? Yes, his father does. Had brittle hands also. This fight again, Skip, this fight is what's going to make Mayweather and Pacquiao fight like they never fought before, because it's all about legacy. It's about their history. It's about who they are.
Yep.
And what they want to be reminded of.
You know, I've listened to him long enough. I've listened to him
I'm just
long
getting
enough.
started,
Let me tell you something right now. First of all, he didn't go into the brittle hands, even though all of that is true. He just called him a pillow puncher. And the analogy that I use, a pillow fighter, a pillow puncher. The analogy that I used, Sugar Ray, was that to fight Oscar De La Hoya, to fight a Canelo Alvarez, to fight a Miguel Cotto, you had to keep those dudes off of you somehow, some way. You can't keep them off of you if you throwing pillow punches. That was my analogy. Right. But when I think about you, I certainly wouldn't confuse Floyd Mayweather with you, because you had that killer instinct. You wanted to take people out. I remember when you came back out of retirement after the whole retina thing, and Donnie Lalonde sat up there and caught you with a decent punch and dropped you, and you scowled and you looked at him like, do you have any idea what you have just done? And you got up as a light heavyweight and beat the living snot out of him. I remember when Hearn sat up there and was jabbing you and jabbing you and jabbing you to death. The first fight. And then you just came out there, Angelo Dundee. You're losing it, baby. You're losing it. And then you came after him. I don't see that in Floyd. But I don't have to, because here's what I see. I see Manny Pacquiao being aggressive. I see Manny Pacquiao being a technician, as Skip says, not taking anything away from him, but understanding that he has to be the aggressor to win this fight, which falls right into what he likes to do. And I think Manny Pacquiao is going to come, and if nothing else, have you seen Floyd counterpunch? It's special. And I think he's setting himself up for that. Not only am I predicting that Floyd, and don't get me wrong, I understand this is boxing, one punch changes everything. Right. But barring that, just looking at their skill set and what they bring to the table, I see Manny coming to Floyd. I see Floyd taking him out in the 11th round.
If you put it this way, let's say both fighters come to the ring with their A game.
Right.
It's going to be a hell of a fight, because Mayweather, he's super defensive, smart, and he breaks you down. It's almost like chess. He waits for the opportunity, and people may find it boring, but he's very, very intelligent when it comes to setting you up, and then he comes on strong. With Pacquiao's defense is his offense, because he comes in so quick. He throws a barrage of punches, a multitude of punches, and that most guys cover up, because they punches come from all angles. The only guy that fired back was Marquez. This may take place if both of these guys come into the ring with their A game, and that's the question.
But other thing that I have for you is this. Watch. Look at them. Floyd Mayweather's taller. That's usually not the case. He's taller, and he's got a 5-inch reach advantage. To that you say what?
I didn't know those facts, but I don't think it's going to matter.
You don't think the reach advantage is going to matter?
No, it's not going to matter. This is a more than special fight. I wish I had another adjective to use. It's that big. My palms will sweat when I watch these guys walk towards that ring, because prior to walking to the ring, they would look in the mirror and they would know if they're going to win or lose. They will know that because every fighter knows in the dressing room if he's going to win or lose. Because
in the dressing room?
Oh, yeah, we know.
Really?
Because I believe in biorhythms. That day, it's like when I fought Tommy Hearns the second time, when I fought Duran the first time.
You thought you were going to lose?
I knew.
You knew?
I look in that mirror. If I see Sugar Ray Leonard, I could beat Mike Tyson. If I look in that mirror and I see Ray Leonard, the civilian, I'm in trouble.
Okay.
And it's true. Fighters don't say they're scared because about bravado, but we will say that we are concerned.
Wow.
More so.
Okay, quick point to that. Your first fight with Duran. As I recall, you went into it saying, I'm going to fight.
Yeah.
I'm going to stand flat-footed and I'm going to exchange with
talking
this
junk
man.
to you.
Remember this?
Yes, he cursed
Okay.
me out.
Is it possible that Floyd's pride will go with before the fall here, that his pride will take over and he'll say, you know what, I'm going to engage with this dude. I'm going to show him that I can punch. Do you think that could be a positive for Pacquiao?
Yes. I mean, all those are possibilities, and all these things can occur. But it all depends upon that mental stability. That's what makes fighters. That's what makes champions. Being able to stabilize the thinking. Because so much goes on in our heads. And if we block those things out, then we can focus.
We got to come back.
I
We got to go back. I got some stuff to ask him about some of this fight.
Sugar Ray Leonard says fighters know in the dressing room if they'll win or lose. Okay, we'll obviously pick that up right there.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Welcome back to First Take. Sugar Ray Leonard, the great Sugar Ray Leonard, is still hanging out with us. It is truly an education. So, Stephen A., you had something you wanted to ask before we went to break.
Because when you lost the first fight to Duran, I know he had he cursed you out, gave your wife the finger, he did all of this other stuff, just irritated you to no end, and you fought his fight the first go round. I'm trying to figure out what's the mindset after you lose a fight of that magnitude to want to go at that guy again. What are the kind of thoughts that go through a boxer's mind to want to get in the ring and go after somebody that you want so bad or that appear to want you so badly?
A very good question, Steve. The fact that when you lose a close fight, you have people around you telling, oh, you won that fight, man, this and that. You hear all these accolades, this, comfort. But when you're by yourself, that's when you deal with yourself. You say, I lost that fight, man. I could have did this, could have did that. But knowing that there is a second plan, a plan B, kind of allows you to want to take on that rematch. For me, I watched the tape of that first loss over and over again. I watched that fight over and over again. And I said, you know what, I have to be more economical, faster, better, more focused. And I did all those things before I went into the ring with him.
It's interesting because as I sit there and listen to you think about that, I'm thinking about the fact that Manny Pacquiao got put to sleep by Marquez. Floyd Mayweather has never lost. His mentality is that Manny knows what it's like to lose because he has lost. So really more pressure's on him. There are others, however, who would think Floyd wants to do everything to avoid that one loss. And that may be his impediment. The fact that he's never lost and he's desperate to hold on to perfection will ultimately play into somebody like Manny Pacquiao's hands, because the flip side to losing is you lost already and you still here, so it ain't that big of a deal. So it can make you even come that much harder. What are your thoughts about that?
Either or, the fact that with Pacquiao, first of all, being a southpaw, which means he leads with his right hand.
That's right.
Majority of fighters lead with the left.
Yep.
That could be a plus for him. His hand speed, we'll see what his hand speed will be. Also, commitment. When fighters, meaning commitment. In other words, if I was fighting you, Steve, normally I would just hit you. Right now, 58, going 59 next month, I would say, you know what? I want to hit Steve there, but I'm not going to hit him because he may hit me back. Because I'm not committed. The commitment of both fighters will play a major role in the outcome.
Okay, you mentioned early on, big point in Floyd's favor, the Achilles heel, that Manny did lose a fight. Now, in recent memory, since he got good, since he became Manny Pacquiao, he really only lost to Marquez. Is that all you're talking about?
Well,
right?
that was a devastating.
Okay, all right, but let's think about this. And this is my theme of this fight, and it's something that you never factored into your fights because you were a strategist. You were playing chess. But I don't think Pacquiao's playing chess. I think this is a religious crusade on his part that for 5 long years he wanted to put this man down. And he couldn't get the fight because Floyd, I thought, ran and ran and ran from him. And finally got shamed into taking this fight because he didn't want to retire with an asterisk beside that 0 losses. Where finally he just had to, he said, okay, I guess I have to fight him or I'll never hear the end of this. The rest of my life I won't hear the end of it. So here's a Manny Pacquiao who is driven by something you were never driven by, which is just raw emotion. And he's going to try to channel that into a game plan that I think he thinks will work strategically. But he wants to put this man down because he does not like this man for all sorts of out-of-the-ring issues. There was he posted a racist video against Pacquiao with derogatory slurs toward Asians, and we can go on and on. He just doesn't like this man. So I'm saying that 5 years worth of emotion is built up in a Manny Pacquiao that he didn't take any fight seriously for the last 5 years, including the 4th Marquez fight. That's the 4th time he was fighting this guy, and he's ahead on every card, and his mind wanders, and he wandered into a shot right at the end of, what round was it, the 6th round? Or,
yes.
Yeah, 6th round. And he's ambient, as you say. He's out. Okay? Although he was up in about 2 minutes.
Even Mitt Romney was devastated.
Yeah. And see, that's all this today has to hang on to.
Yeah, it was that bad. It was that bad. It was that bad.
That's all Floyd's camp, he's in camp over here, that's all they have to hang on to is he got put to sleep by Marquez. He did not care about Marquez. He was bored with Marquez. He wanted Floyd Mayweather Jr., and now he's got him. And I think you're going to see sort of wrath of God, if you will, embodied in Manny Pacquiao.
Your take?
It's hard to debate that.
See?
Because
he's right.
It's right. It is right.
I just said see. That's what I'm saying. I wasn't saying it.
It's hard to debate that because that there is a possibility that may be true or may happen. We don't know what's in this guy's mind, Pacquiao's mind. I mean, for him to know that he's fighting another incredible fighter in Mayweather after being KO'd, because when fighting gets knocked out that way, very, very, very few, 99.9% of them come back because it's an Achilles heel. But Pacquiao he's an anomaly. He's a different kind of animal.
See?
No, that's true. He's a different animal.
Yeah.
No, that.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
Just because he's different, he still sleeps every night.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't think that plays. As far as I'm concerned, that may not play a role. But if it does, there's trouble there.
Let me tell you how I believe Mayweather reminds me of you. People forget this, but like you said you and your mama felt.
Yeah.
This is Sugar Ray. If you remember, on a lesser degree, because the money that's being made today, if you were fighting it today, I mean, you would be making this kind of money. You would be making. I mean, Sugar Ray the small. You know, we'd be talking about like Sugar Ray. I'd be like Mike. It wouldn't stop. I'd be like Mike. So what I'm saying to you is this: you were the pretty boy. You were the guy with you know. Now obviously that's not Floyd in terms of the image because you obviously had a more pristine image. But I'm saying that from as it relates to boxers, they couldn't stand you either. They talked about you. They didn't like you. They were envious of you. They were jealous of you. They didn't think you deserved to be at the top of the mountain. And then you got in the ring and you showed them why. I believe that's Floyd. I believe Floyd is like, y'all hate me all y'all want. Y'all can sit there and think that I don't deserve this all you want to. Wait until you get in the ring with me. That's where I find the similarity in that regard. To that you say what?
You're correct.
Yeah.
You're correct. You either love Mayweather or you hate Mayweather. There's no middle ground, for whatever reason. But when Mayweather enters that ring, he's in the best of shape,
Sure.
frame of mind.
Sure.
He fights to win. He may be a little conservative, but that's okay. That's the sweet sounds of boxing.
Sugar Ray,
I like what I see in him.
for me, the difference is you've had your issues and you've talked about them, and you've led a really good life in terms of making an example of who you are and a role model for others. So I commend you for that. And that is one of the reasons why people adored you so much, because you were that person who kind of owned up to who you were. You said in the ring, you said it's time to be a better man. But I want to talk to you about Floyd and what I've been hearing. He's sparring with bigger partners. What does that say to you? If he's sparring with bigger partners in anticipation of perhaps a more powerful punch?
Yes, you're exactly right. Correct. You fight, you simulate what you're about to anticipate. When I trained for Hagler, I had big guys, southpaw, strong guys. In fact, one of the guys nearly knocked me out 5 days prior to the fight.
Wow.
Almost knocked out. So you try to create that feeling or that scenario that he's going to face May 2nd. Smart man. He's a very intelligent. He's a technician.
Last comment by me, Skip Bayless, on this matter.
Last.
Everybody talks about Floyd Mayweather and his greatness in the ring, and they talk about Manny Pacquiao, and it's there. But one distinct advantage I believe Floyd has over every boxer on the planet, and those in his camp and outside of his camp who've dealt with him, HBO, Showtime, and beyond, all confirmed this. Emmanuel Stewart used to say it all the time. When the lights get brightest, the game slows down for him. He's cool. It doesn't wilt him in any way. When Floyd is at his best is when the lights are brightest. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we can say that about Manny.
Oh, he hasn't been in any big fights in his life. He hasn't been on any big stages.
No. That Marquez fight was very, very big.
Yeah. You said
that's a very, very big fight.
You're being facetious, right?
That's a very, very big fight.
Yeah.
That was a very, very big fight.
Yeah.
And he got put to sleep. Sleep.
Fourth time they fought.
Sleep. So what? By the way, do you believe that excuse? It was the fourth time.
Guys.
He wasn't taking him seriously.
Look at him, guys. Yeah, go ahead. Be the moderator.
No,
guys.
Please.
Just no hitting low, okay?
That's right.
Hitting low.
Sugar Ray Leonard still hanging out with us. You said you believe that this is going to be the biggest fight ever, numbers-wise. Stephen A. disagreeing with you. He said the biggest fight, in his opinion, outside of numbers, was you and Hagler.
Well, I think just...
No, you said
Hearns won.
But just the overall anticipation. I mean, this is a fight that has been talked about for 5-6 years between Pacquiao and Mayweather. I mean, it's breaking all the records, all the numbers.
Sure.
But I understand Steve was talking about the actual fight. Correct?
The fight itself.
The actual fight, and for our viewers, let me break it down, because I'm a boxing lover. Other than basketball, I love nothing more than I love boxing. And here's why Hearns Sugar Ray won, to me, was bigger. Obviously not numbers-wise, just boxing. Floyd Mayweather was essentially you, even though obviously in reverse to some degree. But Hearns and Pacquiao's got his losses. Hearns was undefeated and a knockout artist. And Sugar Ray, you were faster than everybody. You were gifted. You had a killer instinct. You knocked people out that they ticked you off. I mean, you just had all types of stuff going on with you, you know. And Hearns was the hit man. Okay, the hit man. And and you're looking at him. He's long, he's lanky, he's got the right hand, and you're thinking he catches anybody with that right hand. I saw him turn Duran's head 180. The paramedics were running into the ring before Duran hit the canvas. That's what I saw from the hit man. So when he went up against Sugar Ray, I'm talking about just as a fight fan. Everybody and their mother couldn't wait for that one.
All right.
Wait.
You were there. I was there. Thomas Hearns was overrated.
What?
And this man.
No.
Will you let me finish?
He said what?
Hold on, go.
This man owned the hitman. This man owned
about
him
before the fight.
mentally. It was a mismatch. It was a mismatch.
Wait.
I'm sorry. I was there.
But Sugar Ray said you and Hagler.
With the water. I swear I would throw water.
No, I picked it. I said this man will dominate him, and he did. Mentally and strategically,
did you not
dominated
say
him.
in the morning meeting you thought Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard was the fight?
Listen, I feared for your life against Marvin Hagler. I thought you might get hurt. So I was more on the edge of my seat for that fight.
I got it.
And by
got it.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I'm going to go a different direction here. Okay. You want to finish?
Hagler, when you brought up Hagler, I understand that. But Sugar Ray had been away from the game.
Okay.
So us being scared for you because Hagler was Hagler, you surprised us. What I'm saying to you is Hearns Sugar Ray won. It was like, oh my God, which way are you going to go? Smaller, quicker, you know, or the hitman catch you
got caught up in the hype. Once again, you got caught up in the hype.
And by the way, Sugar Ray, be fair. That fight was not lopsided. Hearns' jab was working. That's where your retina damage came in now. The jab was working. That's why Angelo, you talk about lopsided. Angelo, the great Angelo Dundee, God rest his soul, was in the corner going like this. You're losing it, baby. You're losing it. Why? Because the fight was close.
Are you entertained by that?
Am I lying?
Okay.
Am I lying?
No, you're not lying.
Thank you.
You're not lying.
The Hagler fight was close. And Marvin Hagler thought he won. I thought you won that fight. But here's my question. Let's bring it back to the present.
Sure.
How much does Manny Pacquiao, being left-handed, remind you of Marvin Hagler? Are there any comparisons at all?
No.
Because?
I mean, Hagler was ambidextrous. He was...
Because he came out, when that fight started, he was fighting you right-handed, wasn't he, in the first couple rounds?
There's no comparison. There's none. There's no comparison.
No, Hagler didn't have nearly Pacquiao's speed.
But he had the power.
Of course he had power.
Yeah.
And he was tough and rugged, but he's not the speed.
Okay, well, that's what I want to get to. Thank you. That's what I meant. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Manny Pacquiao brings speed plus Hagler's power. That's what I wanted you to say. Because clearly, if you had gotten tagged by Hagler, which you did a couple times, you got hit a couple times, but again, I feared you were going to get hurt by that guy. Manny can hurt people. Manny is going to hurt Floyd Mayweather Jr., whether you like it or not. He's going to bleed. He's going to cut.
I'm not saying that I specifically throw in the caveat that this is boxing. Anything can change if you get caught by one punch. And Pacquiao,
I don't have any caveats.
Pacquiao clearly has that ability. Anybody can get caught by a punch. What I'm saying to you, Skip, is when you make the Hagler-Pacquiao comparison, yes, Hagler was slower, but Hagler was a man. He was a beast. And let me tell you something right now. Pacquiao can give it, but unlike Hagler, he can't take it. I saw John the Beast Mugabe hit Hagler, and Hagler kept coming. I saw Hearns stop Hagler for a moment in his tracks, but then Hagler kept coming. And I saw when Hagler sat up there and ran up to him and hit him with the right, and Hearns sat there bouncing around with a smile on his face. And Sugar Ray, before he fell, oh, he's gone. Oh, he's gone. And this is Hagler. Power, not just power. He was a man. I'm telling you about Pacquiao. Listen to me, because I'm trying to educate you right now. Even though you ain't attended, I'm trying to tell you. Listen to me, Kerry. This is important. Pacquiao.
Knee-jerk overreaction.
Listen, Pacquiao, punching power, no question.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, Pacquiao wasn't,
Thank you.
and I mean this respectfully, no disrespect. Pacquiao was not half the man Hagler was in terms of taking punches. Oh no! Oh no! Absolutely not.
Timothy Bradley tagged.
Oh, will you stop it? Timothy Bradley! Timothy Bradley! Listen, Timothy Bradley is a good fighter. Timothy Bradley is very talented. He's tough, but he doesn't have a big punch. He does not.
Biggest fight.
Oh Lord!
Hagler.
First fight. Hearns won, without question.
Okay.
Because of what it symbolized. I mean, it was for the undisputed title. Tommy was WBA champion. I was WBC.
Okay, I got to go here.
Please, go ahead.
I believe the last time you were on this show, You did declare that you would knock out Floyd Mayweather Jr. prime versus prime. Is that, do our memory serve us here?
You know, no, Skip. Yeah. Yes, your memory serves you correctly. You know, I'm not going to take anything away from. I don't want to take anything away from this event, Pacquiao-Mayweather. This is their day in the sun. Mm-hmm. Hypothetically, you know what? I could beat everybody, but no, I'm not going to answer that again because this is for them. This is Pacquiao-Mayweather. They deserve.
I know you think in your heart of hearts you could have knocked this man out. Because you think you could knock out anybody, right? Okay.
Exactly. I'm not going to go there. Yep. The only thing that I'm going to say is that I don't believe Sugar Ray would have knocked him out only because I don't believe Floyd would have engaged. I think you might have won by decision, but I don't think he would have engaged with Sugar Ray that way, and I don't think a knockout would have occurred at all. But having said that, let me go to a different subject because I don't know if anybody's ever asked you about that. Manny Pacquiao. You know who he kind of reminds me of just a little bit? And one of my boys brought this up, Branson Wright in Cleveland. Manny Pacquiao, Aaron Pryor. Do you see similarities? Aaron Pryor,
the way he attacks.
The way he attacks.
Yeah. Well, Aaron Pryor, who is a friend, who is an amazing champion.
Yes.
Has so much heart, had speed.
Yep.
Power. Whatever hit you with would put you in trouble.
It could take a punch.
It could take a punch. But he was not your typical boxer. He's all over here, but with just such power in both hands. I think he was one of a kind. I think Aaron Pryor was one of a kind.
You know what? Aaron Pryor just fought crazy to me. Just fought crazy. Just came flinging and flailing.
Any man that knocks Alexis Aguero out the first time, Alexis comes back for the rematch, and then he literally sits on the canvas. This happened, Kerry. Alexis Aguero, a great champion. Literally sat on the canvas when he got dropped by Aaron Pryor. And looked at the ref and counted with the ref. 8, 9, 10, because he said, I can't beat this guy. I can't beat him. But that ain't Pacquiao.
You continue to insult Manny Pacquiao.
Oh, come on.
Ring generalship. He doesn't just come out throwing haymakers.
I will say this to you. I am not insulting. Manny Pacquiao is great. Where you're missing the point is that, as Floyd Mayweather would say, I can't take anything away from his greatness. All I could tell you is he ain't been in the ring with someone like me. I believe that.
And vice versa.
That is not insulting.
Vice versa.
But I'm talking,
Vice versa.
Yeah,
okay.
That's true.
You say vice versa in terms of his skill. But ring generalship, Floyd Mayweather has been in with some of the best. Ring generalship.
See, and what both of these fights bring to the table, no one could except for Marquez, but compete with them, really compete with them, because of what they brought. Speed, power, defensive, they have everything. I mean, both guys. This is a great fight.
Keep in mind,
we gotta let him go.
Eric Morales beat outboxed Pacquiao.
Sugar Ray Leonard says Floyd Mayweather will win the fight. He will be there. Hopefully you can join us that week leading up to the fight. It has been truly an honor.
It has been.
Do they entertain you?
Do you guys think about wearing boxing trunks?
They need to, don't they?
I would say this to you. If we ever fought,
oh boy,
I would have to take him out early. Because he'd take me the distance if I did. He'd take me I'd have to take him out early. I ain't going 12 rounds.
Nobody's
You got to go.
Nobody's
You got to go.
Steve Kerr has already solidified his place as the winningest ever first-year head coach. Last week's Warriors win against the Mavs was Kerr's 63rd win this season, pushing him past Phoenix's Paul Westphal and Chicago's Tom Thibodeau. The Warriors are currently sitting on top of the West, and this year, under Kerr, the Golden State's defense has improved to become the league's #1 defense. We're putting him on the hook. Is he getting too much credit or not enough credit? Stephen A.
I mean this respectfully because he could end up deserving every bit of credit that he's getting, but I think thus far he's gotten too much credit. I like Steve Kerr. I like him a lot. And I hate the fact that on so many occasions this year, Skip, we found ourselves, not just this show, but the NBA community getting into discussions about him in comparison to Mark Jackson. But the classy guy that Steve Kerr is, and I've spoken to him in the past about it, particularly when he first accepted the Golden State job, he understands this is a byproduct of everything that transpired. Mark Jackson being there, doing the outstanding job that he did with Golden State, setting the stage, establishing a culture there. Steve Kerr has been able to piggyback off of that and take this to another level. The flip side is that a Barbosa, a Sean Livingston, for example, Iguodala coming off the bench, Andrew Bogut not being hurt, Maurice Spates continuing to evolve. They have arguably the deepest bench in basketball, and they have athletes at practically every position. And so because you have length and athleticism and depth at your disposal, even more so than Mark Jackson had, you're able to capitalize off of that and materialize that into something incredibly beneficial, as we've seen from them this year. The problem is that it's almost like there's this concerted effort, Skip, to give the credit to Steve Kerr by simultaneously trying to take it away from Mark Jackson.
I agree.
And I agree with Mark Jackson when he says, how come it can't be both? How come I can't be respected for the job that I did while at the same time lauding this man for the job that he's done? Now, the owner, Lakem, I like him a lot. Met him, he invited me to the game last year. I think that nobody can argue with the decision that he has to make. And I think as an owner, you have a right to pick who you want in terms of who you mingle with, who've ingratiated themselves successfully with you, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not opposing him. I don't mean to cast any aspersions on him. I'm looking forward to going to Golden State and watching them play come playoff time. But I think the manner in which things were handled, the things that were allowed to sift out of the Warriors organization upon the departure of Mark Jackson, and dare I say a relatively concerted effort to elevate the stature of Steve Kerr, to validate the move that you made initially, has served to assist in those continuing to give Steve Kerr the credit that he may very well deserve, but at the expense of Mark Jackson. And that's where I have the problem. I think Steve Kerr's doing a fabulous job. But what if Steve Kerr gets knocked out in the first round? What are we going to say then?
I would agree.
So let's sit here and look and see what this team does come playoff time, how they look, how they perform, what their results are, before we're willing to give him credit. Because last time I checked, most coaches in the league can do what he's done with this roster. You give some of these coaches, I can name at least 10 coaches. If you give them this roster, they would have won 60 games by now. They might not be 63 or 15. Maybe they'd be 60 and 18. I don't know. But we'll see. But having Alvin Gentry on that bench, credit to Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr's doing a great job. He deserves a lot of credit. He's right there with Budenholzer as my coach of the year. But I really think that people are trying to elevate him to knock Mark Jackson. I don't think that's right.
So my take is, I do not believe Steve Kerr is getting too much credit. But I do believe that in contrast, Mark Jackson is getting too much blame for what didn't happen last year. Like now it's like, oh, well, why couldn't, they needed to fix this, or they needed to, they're two very different people. I like the heck out of Mark Jackson. I like him personally. I like what he stands for. I know there were some issues with management, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into all that. And Steve Kerr is like the nicest guy in the history of the world. So it's like there was some good cop after the quote-unquote bad cop.
Steve Kerr's a very good guy. He really is.
Mark Jackson believes what he believes. He teaches what he believes. And he's not going to take any guff. He's not going to back off. Sometimes he's not the nicest guy because he believes so strongly in what he believes. But my point is, you can't criticize Mark Jackson for what didn't happen last year, because you've made the point again and again. This team was on the verge, and Steve Kerr took it over the verge, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just for the record, they were 12th last year in offensive efficiency. Now they're back and forth between second. They're second right now, but they've been first much of the year.
Number one in field goal percentage defense.
Okay, defense, they're number one, and they were third last year, which wasn't too shabby. Okay, so has Steve Kerr helped make them a little better with the help of Alvin Gentry? Yeah. Do I think Steve Kerr deserves Coach of the Year? I do, because they laid waste to the whole Western Conference. They are running away by 10 games with the West, which none of us saw coming. That's pretty tough to do, because all those teams behind them, they're all pretty good.
The way I look at it with Mark Jackson, no one has asked this question. If Mark Jackson had Sean Livingston, a 6'8" point guard capable of coming off the bench to create mismatch problems, okay? If he had the depth now that they have now, would their record be different? I'd like to know the answer to that question. But again, that's not to take anything away from Steve Kerr. I just think that Steve Kerr has got a playoff series that he has to win, but he has shown the ability to do an outstanding job. He's clearly very knowledgeable about the game of basketball. He's a champion 5 times over. The pedigree is sensational with Popovich and Phil Jackson and all of that stuff. I have profound respect for Steve Kerr, and I don't want to come across as remotely trying to deny him or the Warriors organization the credit that they deserve for feeling the need to make the move that they made. They have every right to do it, but you don't have to take away from Mark Jackson what he did.
But Mark Jackson cannot win right now, because remember the other day he picked James Harden over Steph for MVP.
That's right.
Well, you can't. It's like, oh, come on, wasn't Steph your guy?
Well, see, that is his guy, and Steph, he's Steph's guy. So it's it's ridiculous.
He was surprised that he would even say that. Derrick Rose has been out since February 25th, but Rose and Coach Tibbs both confirmed that he will play tonight in Orlando unless there is an unforeseen setback. Stephen A., what do you expect when he returns tonight?
It's hard to say what to expect because I'm not a surgeon. I mean, bottom line is that Skip had been telling us for the longest time that he should be back. When he first went down, we were led to believe, both myself, Mike Wilbon, and others connected to some folks within the Chicago Bulls organization, that his season was over, because even in the event that he could come back, they didn't want to take the chance with 2 years and approximately $41 million left on his contract. But nevertheless, here he is. And if Derrick Rose can come back and give you anything comparable to what we've seen from him when he played Cleveland this year, and he dropped 30 and 7 on them, you know, when he's on his game, at least at 80%, then it could end up being exactly what we anticipated. The Chicago Bulls making a run, going to the conference finals, or actually the second round, because they're the third seed, Cleveland's the second seed, and they probably meet in the second round. That's really the situation. But according to my sources, Skip, I mean, listen, the bottom line is this stuff is elevated in terms of its level of importance, because not just about Derrick Rose, it's about the history and the future of Tom Thibodeau as well, because we've been hearing for the longest time that he could be out. I'm hearing he could end up in Orlando. You know, I mean, there's so many things that's going on right now. This is expected to be the end of Tom Thibodeau's era in Chicago. So you not got to know that Derrick Rose and everybody else is going to go all out. They're going for it right now. It appears so.
I now give the Bulls a good shot to eliminate the Cleveland Cavaliers. Listen, I did tell you this surgery, no big deal. I think he'll immediately have high confidence in that knee. I think he'll spring right back into shape and get back into the flow. And now that Mirotic has had a chance to emerge as a player,
Rookie of the year.
Yeah, all of a sudden, I don't know what's not to like about this team.
Gasol is averaging 18 and 11. Taj Gibson is averaging 20 on 46% shooting. Okay, Mirotic, you see what he's doing. Joakim Noah's rebounding. He's getting healthier. Taj Gibson has been beneficial. Aaron Brooks has been beneficial. Who knows about Curry? That's right. The only question is this. Remember, Derrick Rose was shooting 40% from the field. 28% from three-point range. You don't want to mess up what's going on. Even though they lost 2 of their last 3, you don't want to mess up what they got going on. You got to come back ready to be effective.
Starting lineups projected anyway. Rose, Butler, Dunleavy, Pau Gasol, Joakim Noah, if they're all healthy. We talk about the game tomorrow. See you then, 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can catch First Take Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN2.
ESPN Radio, bringing you directly to the biggest events in sports.
Center field, well hit, puncher back, out of here!
From opening day of baseball,
throw to the plate, safe at the plate,
right through the World Series.
For the 3rd time in 5 seasons, the San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
Whether it's LeBron, Chris Paul, or Kevin Durant, when the NBA tips off, ESPN Radio is right there when a champion is crowned.
Have a new world champion. The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
And when the magic of bowl season arrives, ESPN Radio is your home for the new college football playoff.
The college football playoff first national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
The biggest events in sports can be found right here on ESPN Radio. 2 of baseball's best go head-to-head in interleague action when the Tigers head to St. Louis to face the Cardinals.
That one is gone.
The pregame at 7. 7 Eastern, first pitch at 8, Sunday on ESPN and ESPN Radio.